Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today we're going to be talking about pro-China YouTubers versus anti-China YouTubers. Yes, I'm on that subject again, but it's going to be a little bit different here today. I got approached by a journalist, and I'm sure a bunch of you other YouTubers in China got approached by this this journalist, and he wanted to do a column dealing with anti-Chinese YouTubers versus pro-Chinese YouTubers. Yes. Oh, John, by the way, I'm in the park where they found your daughter, so I thought maybe you'd like to watch this one. Oh, and another shout out to Mike. Had coffee with a young guy going to university in Chicago that's originally from Nanning City. I'm going to put his picture somewhere in the video here because we took a couple of pictures this morning. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. Smart kid. I wish I was that smart when I was that age. Anyway, back to this anti-Chinese versus pro-Chinese YouTubers. As I said, I got approached by a journalist that wanted to do a column on it, and I turned it down. The reason why I turned it down was, well, for one reason, I'd have no control over what the guy would put in his column, but I didn't want to make this us versus them any worse than it is right now. I think that each and every one of us has our own opinion about what we think about China, and you know, just so long as that opinion isn't malicious, and now I say that malicious. Have I been malicious towards other YouTubers in the past? Definitely I have, and you're not going to see that on my channel anymore. I've learned my lesson. That's not what this channel is about. This channel is about showing the positive side of China, and yes, and some of the negative sides of China too. The idea that I go and I bash another YouTuber because of their views. They say Anti CCP, whether it's Anti CCP or Anti China, that's their view, that's their opinion, and they're entitled to it. Now back to this journalist. Okay, I refused him, and I'm sure that a number of other people, YouTubers in China here, are going to refuse to do it, just for the fact that they don't want to make it any worse than it already is. And I know that he's not just targeting somebody like me, because I got an email. So he sent me a message on Messenger, and then 2 days later I got an email on my email, but he had addressed it or put the name Nathan. So I would imagine that it was going to Nathan Rich. Do I look like Nathan Rich? I have more hair than Nathan Rich. I'm older than Nathan Rich. I'm better looking than Nathan Rich. So he's going after the pro-Chinese YouTubers against the anti-Chinese YouTubers, as we call it. No, I'm sorry. We're not going to do that. People think that the anti this country or pro this country, anti that country or pro that country is just a China thing. Well, no, it's not. See, in Canada, we have anti-government groups that just don't like our Canadian government. We've got Quebec, that's always wanted to separate from Canada. They run their own immigration system, they run their own pensions, they run their own government in a way that is just about separated from Canada, except for the equalization payments they take from the West. Yes. Then you've got the Albertans that think that they give too much to the Canadian economy, and they do. They pay way too much to the Canadian economy. They have no word, and they want to separate too. Then you've got the Texans in the States that you know, tax it. Then you got the Californians that say, well, if we separate from look at these little dolls, hey? Aren't they pretty? Piao Ling. Ni hao.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and then you got California, as I said. 谢谢. that would, if they separated, they would have the 7th largest economy in the world. Think about that. Okay, and you got, say, Caledonia in France. Oh, and don't let me forget the UK and the European Union. And you see, all of these things have been a contentious thing between the host country and the province, a state, the country with the UK and the European Union. But it doesn't have to be. And you think, okay, Czechoslovakia, what was it back in, I'm guessing, 1998, 1993, somewhere in the 90s. Czechoslovakia separated into two smaller countries, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Czechoslovakia, okay, so you know what I mean? So, but they did it in a good way. They just agreed to disagree and turn it into two different countries. There was no fighting, there was no feuding, they just figured out a way to do it, and they went and did it. So it can be done without a fight, and maybe a lot of the countries around the world can learn from the Czechoslovakians and say, well, geez, you know, maybe we should take a book, a note out of history, and actually understand what they did, how they did it, and use that playbook rather than scrapping over it. So when you say Hong Kong or Taiwan and China that want to separate from China, it's not any different than a lot of different countries around the world. But people doing YouTube videos would have you believe that it is. So, but you see, then again, that's just an opinion. That's what people do. There's bugs everywhere, and it's December the 27th, and it is cold outside. It is 14 degrees. You can see I've got a hoodie, bunny hug for you Saskatchewan boys and girls, and a jean jacket. Yes, so it's so cold outside that I rode my e-bike over here. There's a bit of a difference between different countries and the way that they deal with other countries. You get the United States with Hong Kong, Taiwan. Well, let's start with Hong Kong and this new legislation that they brought in. If China does anything to the people of Hong Kong because of all of the riots and protests and whatever, they'll do economic sanctions, not only against Hong Kong but against larger characters in the Chinese government. Okay, well, look at Taiwan. They have a pact with Taiwan that if China does any military action against Taiwan as a province of China, then the Americans will give aid to Taiwan. They sell arms to Taiwan. So take this shoe and stick it on the other foot. If the Texans decided to separate and they were rioting in the streets and the Americans said, you can't do that, and the Chinese said, well, here, we'll sell you arms. Let's sell you a couple of these ballistic missiles and some tanks and whatever, you know what I mean. And how do you think the Americans would think about that? Oh, and then the Chinese would make legislation that says, well, if the States does anything to the Texans, well, we're going to put economic sanctions. We're going to quit buying American goods. We're going to do this. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, guy. Same thing with Canada. If Alberta wanted to separate and the Canadian government said, well, we'll send in the militia. You can't do that. That's our land. And the Chinese said, no, here's, again, more ballistic missiles and tanks and guns and whatever. We'll sell you all the stuff you want to do. And we'll take oil in trade. Oh, yeah, they would too. So why is that good for the Americans? Why is that good for everybody but the Chinese? Think about it. By now in this video you're saying, but Gweilo, you're talking about anti-Chinese and pro-Chinese YouTubers. Why are you talking about all of these countries and how they deal with Chinese? And well, you got to understand that all of these YouTubers come from places like America, Great Britain, Sweden, Canada, South Africa, different places, you know, Sierra Leone to wherever. Each of these YouTubers bring their personal experience from their own country with them when they come to China, and that's normal. I know a lot of the Chinese people that listen to Chinese news and the Chinese government, they have the same sentiments for China as the media, the news, the government, but you got to understand, so does everybody else from around the world that listens to their media, to their government. So these YouTube channels are a reflection, I guess, of their experience, what they've heard, what they've been brought up to believe, what their government is about. Is democracy better than communism? Well, depends on if you're trying to build a high-speed train, a pipeline, an airport. If you're trying to put a highway through 197 different farms, and you've got to deal with each one of those farmers. Yeah, think about that. Then when these YouTubers get to China, or these people get to China, because I don't think there's too many YouTubers before they get over here. They come as something else and they turn into YouTubers. Okay, so now their experiences in China dictate what they think about China. Some people, like look at me for instance. I landed in Nanning, China. I sort of blended in really good here. My family here treats me great. My friends treat me great. The weather is great. The price of booze is amazing. The food is to die for. Just the whole world that I've had in China has been one good experience. So then my videos portray a good experience. There's probably a lot of people that came over with a camera in their hand and got married to some lady, let's call them ladies, and after they got married and bought a house, they got unmarried and she got the house. Bad experience? Yes. Or some people that just don't like the way that China isn't as first world country as a lot of countries like Sweden and the States and Canada, or the European Union, places in the European Union where it can be a little bit dirtier. It can be different here. It's not as easy of a life. So then people say, well, I'm having a bad experience, and that shows up in their videos just like I have good experience and it shows up in my videos. So you've got to take it with a grain of salt because it's different people's perspective and what they've experienced in China. You get into a place like Beijing or Shanghai, well, I don't think that people would have as good of an experience in those places as I've had in Nanning, because Nanning is like a large village. The people are kind. They're not so toughened up by the big city antics, so it's sort of nicer here. Some of these people might have got into business with Chinese people, and Chinese people are cutthroat at business. So you have to understand that a bad business deal would make you think bad of China too. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of reasons why somebody can not like a place, and it may be portrayed in the videos. And maybe what I'm trying to really say is that each YouTuber has their own opinion. Each YouTuber has their own experience, and each YouTuber out of China has their say, and they're allowed to say whatever they want, just so long as it's not a vicious, demeaning video against somebody else. I've been guilty over the last couple of years of saying mean things against other YouTubers because they stated their opinion. That's not going to happen anymore. I'm going to stick to the positive in my videos from now on, and I hope everybody enjoys it more because I do stick to the positives. And maybe being an older YouTuber in China, other YouTubers will watch this video and say, maybe Gweilo's got a good idea there. Maybe I should do positive videos too. And if you do positive videos, maybe more people will watch, just for the fact that people like positive, they don't like negative. Yes. One of the things we can do that's positive is all the YouTubers, instead of being anti-Chinese or pro-Chinese, can be just Chinese YouTubers and try to do something good for the country. I've got a Patreon account that every penny goes to underprivileged rural Chinese children. And it's doing fairly good. It's making, I don't know, $850, $860 a month. I've been at it for about a month and a half to get it to that point. And if the YouTubers out there in China would promote that Patreon account, I'd promote your channel on my channel. Every time you promote the Patreon account, I would promote your channel, guaranteed. Because I'm not a very big channel. I've got I don't know, 43,000 subscribers. But if I can make $850 some or $860 some a month in a month and a half, just think what all of the YouTubers, both in China and outside China, could do if they all promoted the same Patreon account. And I guarantee I'm not going to give this money to some school or some bureaucrat to spend on these children. I'm going to make it a personal guarantee that I'm going to go out personally and see what's needed, buy the stuff, and deliver it personally. It's going to be sort of like a pet project of mine. Think about it, guys. Anyway, that's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button, and thanks for watching. Bye now.